What is up, guys? Hope you're all doing well. It is hot. I'm currently in the north of Brazil in a little town called Pipa. It's a beautiful place, so I'd highly recommend it if you've never been to Brazil. So in this video, I'm going to talk about what to do if a girl breaks up with you. The best way to deal with it, maybe you want to get her back. This is the highest likelihood way you have of getting your ex back if she's broken up with you and you kind of ended on bad terms. So first up, the worst thing you can do if a girl breaks up with you is, let me just turn the microphone that way. The worst thing you can do if a girl breaks up with you is beg for her back. Please don't plead for her back. If you beg for her back and you start crying, and I know this from experience because my first ever girlfriend, first ever long-term relationship, I was about 17 years old. I got dumped and I cried like a little bitch. So yeah, don't cry. She'll completely lose respect for you. And don't say, I promise I'll change. I promise it'll be better this time. No, don't do it. Just accept it. Be respectful and just say, look, if that is your wish, I respect it. I enjoyed our time together and I wish you all the best. And just leave it like that on good terms. And she'll be like, wow, what's going on with him? She'll be like, it's something like, are you okay? Like, she'll probably that will make her a little bit more attractive because you're calm and you're in control of your emotions. And she expects you, even if she doesn't want you in that moment, she expects you to chase. So the best thing you can do is remain calm and don't chase. Then, after the breakup, here's what you're going to do. You're probably going to need a little bit of time to kind of process it's going to be sad. You're going to be upset, right? Like anyone is in a breakup. So you're going to need time to be focused on yourself. This is a period of building. So this is a period where you're going to be going to the gym a lot. I'd recommend you spend time around male friends, good masculine role models. I'd recommend you join a martial arts gym, do some jiu-jitsu, do some Muay Thai, some boxing, whichever you prefer, some wrestling, all good stuff, judo. And then get around masculine role models. And also, what you want to do is you want to be surrounded by start interacting with other females as well, because this is going to improve your confidence. And what's going to happen is a few weeks and months later, you are going to be in the best shape of your life. You're going to be surrounded by friends. You're going to have developed a social circle, and you are going to hopefully have some pretty young things around you. And she might see that on social media, or she might see you out. And what this is going to do is this is going to trigger the jealousy reaction, the jealousy instinct in her. Because she's, in her mind, she probably has you down as like a little beta male, because if you're in a long-term relationship, what typically happens is you get slowly like beta-tized. But by the end of the relationship, she doesn't respect you at all, and you've been a good little boyfriend. That by the end of it, she doesn't respect you. So if she sees you out working on yourself with your own independence, and you're also surrounded by girls, this is going to really trigger this jealousy instinct in her. If a girl sees you, like the best thing for attraction for women is for them to see you around other hot women. It's just instant validation and social proof. And there's a lot of guys who use this to their advantage in the past. Michael Sartain, look at his Instagram page. Dan Bilzerian used to do it. He doesn't really post much anymore. But if you look like you're always surrounded by hot girls, other girls want to be a part of that, and it shows that they can trust you. So get in the best shape of your life. Go and do some martial arts. Get in the gym. Be surrounded by good men. Don't be drinking loads or doing drugs, but go out and enjoy yourself and and interact with other females as well, and your confidence will skyrocket. And by the time she does decide to come back, because if you have done this and you have gone no contact for this whole time, you haven't got drunk texted her, just act cold. Don't message her. Be cold. And she is going to start thinking, all kinds of things. She's going to think, oh, what's he up to? I wonder why he hasn't texted me back. Because she's expecting all these things. She wants that reaction from you. And she may have gone out there and she may have gone out and dated a few other guys and realized, the grass isn't greener. Like maybe she's dated a couple of bad boys who have just kind of like pumped and dumped her. And then she misses you because you were, you had good times together. Maybe you didn't treat her that way. So sooner or later, if you follow these steps, she will come back. I actually had this experience twice. Whenever I was younger. It was with my first 2 girlfriends, and then I learned, okay, this is actually how you deal with it. Because the first time I dealt with it, I kind of dealt with it well by accident. We were on a break, and then during that time, I actually made out with a girl who was in our friendship circle in front of her. And then obviously she got massively jealous, and then that night she was like, oh, I want you back. Of course, women are jealous. So then what happened is my second relationship, we dated for 2 years. She decided she wanted a break. We broke up for 6 months. And during this time, whenever we first broke up, I was absolutely gutted. And, I made all the mistakes in the book, basically. And I basically begged for her back. And I cried. And I was just really upset because I was super in love with this girl. And then I just eventually gave up. And it was the moment I gave up and I started working on myself. I started building my own social group. I started enjoying my life again. That was when she came back. And that's when I realized, there's something to this. Whenever they can sense that you aren't dependent on them anymore is when the attraction comes back. And then the opposite is also true, where let's say you are in a relationship, you're in the early stages of dating, that is typically when attraction is at its highest, because she is in competition with other girls who you might be dating at that same time, or you haven't fully committed yet. Maybe you're not living together yet. Maybe you haven't had kids yet. You're not married. This is typically when she is going to be putting her best foot forward. She is going to be in the gym all the time. She is going to be dressing to the nines every time you go out. She is going to be acting submissive, feminine, typically. And then what more often than not happens is, this is when a lot of breakups happen, is when you both get too familiar with each other. Let's say you move in together, you start showing each other's bad habits, and then you start taking each other for granted, and then the weeks and months go by and comfort is set in, but that kind of fear of loss has gone, because okay, they're not going to leave. There's no threat that they're going to leave. Like they're dependable, they're reliable, but there's not that kind. You need that slight kind of anxiety to trigger that real lust and that attraction still. So this is what causes people to step out of relationships, to cheat, and ultimately in the end maybe to get divorced as well, because this familiarity and this comfort sets in. So let's say she comes back after 6 months. Now, this is how to get her back, but the question is, should you take her back? I think if a girl breaks up with you, then you shouldn't take her back, especially if she decides to sleep with other people during that time. Maybe during the break she hasn't dated anyone, but it's very, very unlikely. Chances are, if you're on a break for a few weeks to a few months, she's going to be out with her single friends, and there's a reason why she asked for the break in the first place. Maybe in a small few instances, she has just focused on herself. She just needed time to think, separate from the relationship, and it has only been like a week or 2 maximum. Then maybe you could talk it out, but still, you don't really know for sure that she hasn't stepped out. Rule of thumb for me is, if a girl has decided that she wants a break or she wants to break up, then I would say the relationship is over. I think if you do take her back, she may take that as a sign of weakness, that she could potentially do it again in the future, and she may lose a bit of respect for you if you do. So whenever I went through this with my long-term relationship between the age of like 18 and 22, I took her back after 6 months. I gave her a second chance. I gave her the benefit of the doubt. She says it was the biggest mistake she'd ever made. She was giving me the crying and everything. But then here's what happened. We were good for like 6 months. and then old habits start to creep in, and then the relationship was never really the same. And then it actually ended up breaking down in the end anyway. So in hindsight, I shouldn't have taken her back. I should have just cut the loss there and then. But you learn your lesson from these things, and it teaches you a little bit more about how these things work. So learn from my lessons, guys. Like, if a girl does this, these are the steps in order to actually get her back, if you want to do this. But more often than not, she will come back. I wouldn't actually accept her back 9 times out of 10. So take this advice or leave it. Just thought I'd share that. I'm going to be putting out more of these dating videos. So if you found it helpful, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. See you on the next one. Peace.